There's a set of trap jaws lying open in the snow about 40 feet behind my cabin right now. Number 4, double spring, the kind a man used to hang his whole winter on. And I want you to look at me while I tell you this, because I'm going to say something that sounds like a lie. That trap out there cost a trapper almost nothing. A few dollars once, and it lasted him 20 years. He didn't buy warmth with it. He didn't buy food with it. He bought his whole living with it, and it worked, and it fed him, and it kept his family through more hard winters than you or I have ever seen. And a trap just like it, set exactly the way a careful man sets it, put more good trappers in the ground than every wolf, every bear, and every blizzard those mountains ever threw at them. I know how backward that sounds. Sit with me anyway. Because here's the thing nobody says out loud. That trap will not maul you. It will not tear you open. It will not break your leg most times, and it will not kill you where it takes you. It does one thing. It holds you. Quiet and patient and polite as a handshake, it takes hold of a man and it simply does not let go. And then it steps back and lets the cold and the blood and the hours do the rest. Nobody teaches this anymore. Nobody sells a fix for it either, because the fix is free and it fits in your head, and there's not $1 in a thing a man already owns. So stay with me, because before we're done, I'm going to hand you the one thing every old hand did before he ever knelt down beside a set trap. And it takes about 4 seconds. And the men who did it walked home, and the men who skipped it did not. Now, here is the part that turned my stomach the first time it was laid out for me plain, and I want you to hold on to it, because it matters more than anything else I'll say today. It was not the careless men who bled out this way. It was not the drunks or the greenhorns or the ones who didn't know what they were doing. By most accounts, it was the good ones, the fast ones, the men who had run a line so long and so well that their hands did the work while their minds were already 3 sets down the trail thinking about supper. The better a man got at it, the more likely it killed him. I'm going to show you exactly why before we're through, and when I do, it's going to change the way you look at every skill you've ever mastered, in the woods or out of them. Let me tell you who I am, so you know I'm not reading this off a card. I ran a trap line for the better part of 9 winters, in country you could not walk out of if your life depended on it, and more than one night it did. 2 days of hard walking to the nearest other living soul, and that soul might not have been home. No radio, no help to call, nobody coming to look for me on any particular schedule, because that's not how it works out there. The men who taught me didn't learn this out of any book. They learned it burying friends, and then they hammered it into me hard enough to leave a mark, because they were not going to bury me too. And every one of them, without fail, carried the same scar somewhere on their hands. Every single one. Now, before we go any further, do me the one favor I'll ask of you in this whole video. Hit that subscribe button. Give this a like if you're getting something out of it. And turn on the notification bell, because these old skills go out one at a time and there's no telling which one you'll need. It costs you nothing and it keeps this knowledge moving. That's all I'll say about it. Now, here is where most folks go wrong, and it is the very first thing. So if this next piece doesn't land, nothing else I tell you will keep you alive. When people picture a trap killing a man, they picture violence. They picture a leg snapped clean. They picture a great steel bear trap with teeth like a shark hauling a fella down into the brush. That's what the movies gave you, and I understand why you believe it. But out here, that's not how it happened. Almost never. The trap that killed men was small. It was the everyday trap, the one on the beaver slide and the fox trail and the marten pole. And it did not catch a man's leg. It caught his hand. His fingers, most often, his wrist sometimes, the very hand he was reaching in with, at the exact moment he was doing his job. And it did not kill him with the bite. It killed him with the holding. Because a trap doesn't have to hurt you badly to finish you. It only has to keep you. You are alone. You are miles out. It is 30 below and dropping. You have one hand pinned to a stake, driven deep in frozen ground, and your other hand is the one you'd need to work the springs, and it is the wrong hand and it is stiff, and now it is bleeding and the light is going. And this is the part folks never think through, so think it through with me now. He doesn't die of the wound. He dies of the arithmetic. Every hour he sits in that snow, the cold takes a little more of him. His fingers go, so his good hand gets clumsier, so he gets slower, so more time passes, so the cold takes a little more. It's a wheel turning downhill, and the wheel does not stop turning just because he's tired. And nobody hears him. That's the thing about a trap line. The whole reason you're out there is that nobody else is. So let me give you the method now, the way the old hands actually did it. And I'm going to pair every piece of it with the reason, because a rule you don't understand is a rule you'll break the first cold morning you're too tired to remember it. The first layer will turn your whole head around, and it's this. You never trust a trap you did not just disarm with your own 2 hands 5 seconds ago. Not a trap you set yourself. Not a trap you looked at. Not a trap you're pretty sure is fine. Because a man's memory of setting a trap and the actual state of that trap are 2 different things, and only one of them will bleed you. Frost heaves the pan. Snow settles wrong. A rabbit trips it half. The dog pushes it. That trap has been sitting out there alone for 3 days doing whatever it wanted, and you were not there to watch it. So you treat every single trap on that line as if it is live and loaded and waiting for you personally. Every one. Every time, even the empty ones, especially the empty ones. The second layer is the one nearly everybody gets backward. You do not reach in. You reach around. The natural motion, the fast motion, the motion your body wants to make when you see fur in a set, is to reach straight down into the middle of that set with your fingers spread. That is the exact shape of a hand that gets caught. So you break that habit and you build a new one. You come in from behind the trap, from the side the jaws don't face. You stand your foot on the springs first, not your fingers. Your boot doesn't feel cold, and your boot doesn't bleed. And you use a stick, always a stick. There is a stick within 6 feet of you at all times in that country, and a man who won't bend down to pick one up has decided his time is worth more than his hand, and he is wrong about that. The third layer feels almost like cheating once you learn it. You set the trap so it cannot hold you, even if it takes you. The old hands staked shallow on purpose in the worst weather, or they set on a slide wire, or they tied off to a drag instead of an anchor. So if the whole works went wrong, the thing would come loose and travel with them. A man dragging 15 pounds of steel and a log through the snow is a man who is walking. Slow, cursing, ruined, but walking. A man staked to frozen ground is a man in a chair he cannot leave. Now here is the fourth layer, and it sounds like madness right up until it clicks. When you're alone, you set fewer traps. I'll say that again because everything in you fights it. A man out there by himself, with nobody coming for him, should run a smaller line than a man with a partner, not a bigger one. And the instinct is exactly opposite. The lone man thinks, I've got nobody helping me, so I'd better set more, work faster, cover more ground. And that instinct is the very thing that kills him, because a rushed man on a long line at last light is a man who reaches without looking. The trap doesn't get you when you're careful. It gets you when you're behind schedule. And last, the small thing, the one I promised you at the start. And it is going to sound almost foolish. Before you put a hand anywhere near a set trap, you stop, and you look at the springs and you say it out loud. Springs down. 2 words. Out loud. In the open air. To nobody. Why out loud? Because your eyes will lie to you at the end of a long day, and your hands will lie to you, and your memory will lie to you. But the moment you make your mouth form the words, your brain has to actually go and check. It breaks the trance. It takes 4 seconds. And 4 seconds is the whole price of your hand, and your hand is the whole price of your life. Let me stop and ask you again, since we're right here at the heart of it. Subscribe if you haven't. Like the video. And hit that bell so the next one finds you, because I've got more of these, and every one of them was paid for by somebody who didn't come home. Now here is the why beneath all of it, and I'm going to give it to you plain, the way an old man gave it to me, with no big words and no lecture. A steel trap is not an animal. That's the whole confusion right there. An animal wants something from you. An animal gets tired or scared or bored, and it lets go and it wanders off. A bear that swats a man might well walk away and leave him breathing. A wolf will not stand over you for 11 hours. But a spring doesn't get tired. A spring has no opinion about you at all. It was bent into that shape in a factory, and it has been pushing with exactly the same force every second since, and it will keep pushing with exactly the same force tomorrow and next week, and long after you have stopped being a man and started being a shape in the snow. It does not know you are there. It does not care that you are there. It is not holding you out of any hunger at all. Now, put that next to the cold, because the cold works the same way, and that's what makes the pair of them so deadly together. Your body only has so much heat in it, and it is spending it every minute. Sitting in the snow with one arm pinned, you are burning it faster than you're making it. Blood is going out of you, and blood is the thing that carries the heat around. So you get colder, so the blood pulls in tight to your middle to protect your heart. So your hands and feet go first, so the one good hand you had left starts going numb. And that good hand was the entire plan. The very tool you needed to save yourself is the first thing the cold takes. That's the whole machine. Nothing dramatic in it anywhere. A spring that never tires, a cold that never rests, and a man who only has so many hours in him. And out of those 3 plain things, a death. Now circle back to the riddle I told you to hold on to. Why the good men? Why the fast ones? Why the best on the line were the ones who bled out in it? Here it is, and it's a hard answer. A trap line is a thing you do 1,000 times. Kneel, check, reset, move. Kneel, check, reset, move. And after enough winters, your hands stop asking permission. They just go. They know the shape of the work better than you do. And that is exactly what makes a man good. That is the skill. That is the thing he spent years earning. And that same skill is a kind of sleep. The greenhorn is terrified of that trap. He stares at it. He pokes it with a stick from as far back as his arm will let him, and his partners laugh at him for it, and he does not get caught, because a scared man does not reach. The master doesn't stare at it. He doesn't have to. He's already 3 sets down the trail in his head, thinking about the dark coming and the fire he'll build. His hand goes in the way it has gone in 10,000 times before, and this one time the pan is frosted at the wrong angle, and the jaws come up, and the thing that betrayed him was not the trap. It was his own hands doing the job perfectly, without him. The storm kills the fool. The trap kills the expert. That's the part nobody tells you, and now you know why. So you might be asking the question I asked. If it's this simple, if it's a stick and a boot and 2 words out loud, why did I never hear it? And the answer is a quiet one, and it has nothing to do with any conspiracy. It's about money and about time. A piece of knowledge only stays alive as long as somebody needs it every single day. The day the fur market went, the day the lines came in, the day a man could buy his meat and his money somewhere else, that habit stopped being practiced. And a habit that isn't practiced isn't taught. And a habit that isn't taught is gone inside of 2 generations. And nobody came along to sell it back to you because there's nothing to sell. They'll happily sell you a better trap. They'll sell you gloves and a setting tool and a jacket with a tag on it. There is no product called 4 seconds and a stick. It costs nothing, it never wears out, and it never needs replacing. which makes it the single worst business idea in the world and the single best thing you can carry. It's no cover-up. It's just the arithmetic of what sells. The free knowledge doesn't advertise, and the expensive answer can afford to shout. Now, I want to be straight with you, because I'd rather you trust me than be impressed by me. And that means telling you where this falls short instead of dressing it up. First, the myth, and it's one our own side loves, that a strong man can always work himself free. That if it were you, you'd tough it out, you'd pry it, you'd bear it. I'm telling you no. A set of springs beats a man's grip every time, and it beats it worse with every hour he cools. Strength is not the answer here and never was. It was avoidance. It was always avoidance. Second, the limit. Everything I've given you is about not getting caught. Once you're caught alone and hurt in the cold, you have entered a different problem, and it is a far worse one, and no trick I hand you today makes that easy. And third, the hard line I will not soften, and it's the one that matters most for you, sitting where you are, right now. You do not go out alone into hard country without somebody knowing exactly where you'll be and exactly when you're due back. Not roughly. Exactly. Because in every one of these stories, the thing that actually killed the man was not the steel. It was the silence. It was the fact that nobody was going to come looking, and if they did, they wouldn't have known where. And that fix is free too, and it takes about a minute. And it is the whole difference between a bad afternoon and a body in the spring melt. And I'll tell you the modern thing too, because honesty cuts both ways, and I am not so proud of the old ways that I'll let one kill you to make a point. Carry a satellite beacon if you can afford one. Carry a whistle if you can't. The old rule keeps you out of the trap, and the beacon catches you on the day the old rule failed. A wise man carries both. Now step back with me a minute, because this was never really about traps. The men who lived out there their whole lives, who walked those lines and wintered alone in places you and I would think twice about visiting in July, they understood something we've mostly lost. They knew that a thing does not have to hate you to end you. It only has to be patient while you are not. And they knew that the most dangerous moment in any man's life is not the moment he's afraid. It's the moment he's comfortable doing something dangerous. They didn't fear the trap. They feared their own hands going in without them. And that's a thing I'd hand down to you ahead of any trick in this video, because it is bigger than the woods, and you already know exactly where in your own life it applies. So here's the whole of it. Small enough to carry and free as the snow on the ground. Treat every trap as live every single time, even the empty ones. Never reach in. Come around, boot first, stick in hand. Set so it can't anchor you if it takes you. Run a shorter line when you're alone, not a longer one. And before your hand goes anywhere near that steel, you stop, you look at those springs, and you say it out loud. That's it. No tool, no tag, no week's wages. 4 seconds, and the knowing of why. And the knowing is the part nobody can sell you and nobody can take back once you've got it. If any of that landed, do me the favor. Subscribe. Like it. Ring the bell. It's free, same as everything else I've handed you today, and it puts this old knowledge in front of somebody who might need it worse than you do. Now I want to hear from you, and I mean that. Tell me down in the comments about a moment when you got so good at something that it very nearly bit you. In the woods, on a job site, on the road, anywhere. Because half of what I know I learned from somebody else's grandfather, and I'd be a fool to think I've heard them all. And before you go, here's what's been gnawing at me to tell you next. I've told you today what steel does to a man who reaches wrong. But there's an older mistake than that one, and it happens after the animal is already caught and already dead and already hanging over your shoulder. And it's the moment more men were mauled than in any other. A fella walks up on a still, silent, finished animal and lets his guard down, and that is precisely when the country takes him. I'll show you what the old hands watched for instead, and it is not the eyes and it is not the teeth. Until then, keep your hands where you can see them, and never trust a quiet trap to tell you the truth.